And he's, again, great grappler as well. So he can definitely do that. But Jack needs to keep it on the feet, and that's what he wants. So obviously, I mean, you just need my pick. You know where I'm going. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
How do you think you'll celebrate beating Islam Makhachev in Madison Square Garden in New York City?
Yeah, just probably get back to the Airbnb and just really celebrate with the team, you know, let loose a bit, have some drinks, celebrate the moment. Because, yeah, these big moments don't come around too often.
There was an interview or something like that where Jack said he said, I'm a better mixed martial artist and I'm coming to take his pound for pound spot.
I think nobody believes this. He's a good boxer. He's a good fighter, but I know I have better skills than him.
So, Volkanovski's been giving some serious advice to JDM. And get this, he even teamed up with Craig Jones. They're trying to prep him for Islam Makhachev's crazy grappling game. Apparently, they've been working on how to escape those chokes, like the one that caught Conor McGregor, which is pretty wild. Look, Alexander Volkanovski's main message to Jack Della Maddalena is simple: stay off the ground. He knows Islam is a phenomenal grappler, one of the absolute best in the sport. The thing is, even though Jack's good on the ground, Islam's been wrestling his whole life, so it's totally his world down there. Volkanovski wants Jack to be super ready for scrambles, use his weight smart, and keep up that relentless pressure, just like he did when he tired Islam out in their own fight.
Got a lot of respect for Islam, great dude, would love to train with him eventually. But right now, Aussie, 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 right? It's simple, right? Jack's great on the ground, but we don't want it to go to the ground. Even though Jack's good there, that's Islam's world. That's all he does 24/7 since he was walking, like literally. So he's probably wrestling before he started walking. That's how long these guys have been doing this for. Do we want to go there? You know, be okay with the scrambles if you're comfortable enough in the scrambles, and keep that urgency and use your weight and hopefully wear on him. Obviously, I was able to tire him from all them little scrambles.
But here's the thing. Volkanovski really believes Jack can wear Islam down if he manages to keep this fight standing. He says Jack can't afford to get comfortable in any wrestling exchanges. He absolutely cannot let Islam just control him on the mat. What's more, Volkanovski thinks Jack's best bet is to use those strong hips, defend every single takedown, and just be stubborn, whether it's in the wrestling or standing up. He's confident Jack can handle himself if it does go to the ground, but for the win, keeping it on the feet is key, and of course, he's fully backing his fellow Aussie to take it. Go, Jack.
Jack, be effective where he can burn him there, take the gas away. Again, if he's going to be complacent in the wrestling and then wait till he's on his back to build up, you're not going to tire Islam there. But Jack is going to understand, I ain't even letting you try to get this on the floor. I'm going to try and beat you on the feet. I'm going to keep you away. I'm going to have nice strong hips. I'm going to be very stubborn on the feet, stubborn on the wrestling. If it goes down, stubborn to build myself back up. And he's, again, great grappler as well. So he can definitely do that. But Jack needs to keep it on the feet, and that's what he wants. So obviously, I mean, you just need my pick. You know where I'm going. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Come on.
Now, Kamaru Usman had something to say about JDM training with Craig Jones and Alexander Volkanovski. He pointed out that even when Dricus du Plessis had a ton of wrestlers helping him prep for Khamzat Chimaev, you just never know what's going to happen. The outcome isn't certain until they actually step inside the octagon. Right? Anything can play out once that cage door closes.
When you see Alex Volkanovski, Craig Jones sitting in that room with him at Scrappy MMA in Perth, how much of an impact do you think those guys are having in the lead up and preparation for Islam?
I mean, it is what it is. You can't really tell. You can't really say that because look at someone like DDP. You saw when he was preparing for Khamzat Chimaev, and he had 3 guys, I believe, wrestling him and trying to get him down, and he was kind of having his way with those 3 guys. That doesn't really tell the story. You know, you don't know until you get into that fight and things start to play out. So who knows?
Meanwhile, Jack Della Maddalena totally expects Islam Makhachev to put the pressure on him with takedowns for the entire 25 minutes. He gets it, Islam might not always be shooting desperately, but that threat is constant. It's something he has to think about every single second of the fight.
So this fight gets to the 3rd round, 4th round, 5th round. In your head, do you see it as he's given up on the takedown and you guys are standing, or do you think he's pretty desperately trying to get you down? Like, if it was between those 2 options, what do you think is happening later on in this fight?
Yeah, I think he'll be, I expect 25 minutes here pushing for the takedown. At least not desperately pushing, but I feel like it's always a threat and it's something he's always going to be thinking about. He's getting the fight to the floor.
But here's the kicker. Islam Makhachev wants everyone to know he's more than just a grappler for this UFC 322 fight against Jack Della Maddalena. He says he can strike just as well as he can wrestle. Plus, he's been sparring with top guys like Dustin Poirier and Alexander Volkanovski, so he's ready for anything. Islam stresses that MMA is a mixed bag of skills, and he's prepared to strike, grapple, and take the fight wherever it needs to go.
A lot of fighters who are breaking this fight down say that if you can't get the takedowns on Jack consistently, you're not going to be able to win a striking fight. If it does turn into that, where it is stand-up, are you looking forward to proving those people wrong?
Man, I just want to tell everybody I can fight with anybody in the striking, grappling, wrestling, because I'm not just grappler. I can strike. I strike with Dustin, with Volk. You know, he can defend my wrestling, but I will strike and I will try to take him down again. You know, this is not striking match or grappling match. This is MMA fight.
And get this, Alexander Volkanovski actually praises Islam Makhachev's fight IQ and instincts. He says Islam's understanding of how fights work just comes naturally to him. He explains that Islam doesn't even need to think through positions because his reactions are totally automatic. It's like Islam's experience and awareness let him spot openings right away and adjust before his opponent can even react.
You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of a more that. As you can see, I'm pushing on the hip here. That usually makes the trips hard. Like, if he was going to try and pull this way, I've already sort of shut that down. But he's done a great job of tripping as we sort of turn. We end up the momentum changed that little bit. I put a little bit extra weight one way where I had it nice level and I was sitting, I was based on both legs and my legs seemed too far away. As he was pushing, me chatting, and then he gets me that little bit off center and that little bit more vulnerable on one side. I'll take that little trip. Obviously, I got back to a knee and got up, but it's just that awareness. He just knows mechanics. Like, he doesn't even have to think about it. He just knows what to do. Like, it's instinct. For his reactions to these are instinct because he's probably been in them a million times. But not only that, he's obviously got an understanding there that knows that he's vulnerable for this and that. But he's done it that many times that it just happens as soon as you get in that position.
So, Tim Welch points out that Jack Della Maddalena has this really springy, dynamic stance, always bouncing in and out. Plus, he's got excellent cardio, especially for a 5-round fight. He thinks Jack probably walks around at a solid 95 to 2. What's interesting is Islam Makhachev usually fights smaller guys and is naturally closer to one. Welch emphasizes that Islam still looks super lean and shredded at welterweight, just like he does at lightweight, showing how conditioned and physically ready he is.
So when I say Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev, can we get the Timbo breakdown here? What are you thinking?
I mean, obviously there's ways for Jack to win, but he's got a springy stance. He bounces in, he bounces out. We're going 5 rounds here. His cardio is great. He probably walks around at 195 pounds. Islam's used to fighting guys that are probably walking in the cage 175, but Islam is a natural 170. I've been around this guy multiple times. He is damn near 6 foot. He looks like he's 200 pounds out of fight camp, and that's what most 170 guys are. 6 foot to 6'2", and they walk around 195 to 200 pounds. But Islam, you see him in his pictures now. He looks just as shredded as he does at 155.
And then there's this. Tim Welch further explains that Islam Makhachev's past weight cuts to 155 pounds really took a toll. He thinks Islam was only at about 60% of his full strength and power. So, Welch expects this move up to welterweight to show us a much stronger, fresher version of Islam. He adds that while he'd love to see Jack Della Maddalena land a big knockout, he thinks Islam will probably take control on the ground, get to half guard, and look for a submission finish.
He's talked about it in the past that cutting to 155, trying to recover in 24 hours and fight 5 rounds. He said he's max at 60% of his strength and power when it comes to recovering after weight cuts. Now, I mean, I think we're going to see a whole new monster in Islam Makhachev. I really would love to see Jack put one on his lips, boom, and put him out. I would love it, and I'm hoping that happens. But I think Islam Makhachev is going to get on top, put him in half guard, and probably submit him, unfortunately.
Look, Jon Anik firmly believes Islam Makhachev is still the pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world. He says a fighter shouldn't lose that status for reasons outside the cage. He's like, Islam's dominant record speaks for itself. Bottom line, in Anik's view, Makhachev remains the top guy until someone actually beats him in the cage.
I'm fascinated by the betting line. If you can't tell, I don't understand why it's so demonstrably wide. But Islam deserves his flowers. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you don't lose your pound-for-pound #1 status outside of the octagon. So for me, he's still the king until proven otherwise.
What's crazy is Israel Adesanya is actually predicting Jack Della Maddalena stops Islam Makhachev in the 2nd or 3rd round. He breaks it down like this. If Islam can't keep Jack on the ground, then he's forced to trade strikes, and that's where Jack can do some serious damage. Think about it. Adesanya mentions how Dustin Poirier escaped submissions and how Volkanovski's striking challenged Islam, really highlighting the threats Jack poses standing up.
I'm not trying to count Islam out, but I just know Jack. I know that when Jack keeps getting up, it's going to be a problem, and Islam's going to be forced to strike. And when he's forced to strike with Jack, he's gonna get hurt. Islam, I think, is the best of the Dagestanis, one of the best fighters in history, one of the most efficient. But when it comes to Jack, like, look, even Dustin's able to get up and like stop his submissions, and Dustin's gone. And also, I've seen live what Volk can do with Islam when they were in Perth.
Dustin has great boxing, but I still think Jack is on the boxing level.
Levels! And he's touching him. So that's why I know he's gonna hurt Islam. I do think, Islam, I'm not disrespecting, I think Islam will be able to get him down, but for how long? It's not for long. And also he's gonna get stuffed from the beginning, in the middle, till Jack ends it. In this fight, not just because it's Anzac United, I really think that Jack Della Maddalena has the skills to stifle Islam's game and be able to just put it on the feet and knock him out. Might be 2nd round.
Listen, Michael Venom Page finds this matchup between Islam Makhachev and JDM fascinating, even if it briefly messes with the momentum in his own division. He believes Jack is totally underrated, praising his movement and his ability to avoid being controlled on the ground. Page expects Islam to get some takedowns, but he doesn't think Jack will stay down for very long. But here's the catch. Jack's biggest risk comes from those tiny mistakes that could open the door for Islam's submissions. Still, he sees Jack as the more dangerous striker, and he's got strong defensive skills against grappling.
Jack Della versus Islam is obviously an interesting one. It's annoying for me because it holds up the division that I'm in, but it's still an exciting fight. I actually feel like Jack Della is very underrated, even though he's a champion now, and the people that he fought to kind of get here. He's very underrated, underestimated always. He's a person that is hard to keep on the floor because he's the scramble king. Even if Islam is able to take him down, I don't think he's going to stay down at all. The only way I think Jack can get caught is if he tries to get up incorrectly and gets caught in one of his famous chokes that he has. But other than that, I feel Jack's the better striker as well, and he's just better at nullifying people with submissions or takedowns.
And get this, Joaquin Buckley points out Jack Della Maddalena's impressive knockout power when he's striking. But he makes it clear those strengths won't mean much if the fight goes to the ground. He expects Islam Makhachev to immediately pressure Jack against the cage, take him down, and keep him there for as long as possible. Buckley is convinced Islam isn't just going to hold him down for a decision. He's a finisher. He's got all these weapons like the Dar, the Anaconda, and head and arm chokes, so he's coming for that neck. Buckley warns that if JDM can't keep it standing, he's finished. He's got Islam winning in the third round, either by TKO or submission. On the other hand, Jorge Masvidal sees Islam Makhachev as the absolute top grappler in modern MMA. He explains that once Islam takes the fight to the ground, his control and submission skills are just incredibly difficult to deal with. What's more, Masvidal highlights Islam's ground and pound, pointing to his dominant win over Charles Oliveira as proof of his superior ground game.
Islam Makhachev and Jack Magdalena.
I got Islam.
Islam. It's a good fight.
Yeah,
it's a good ass fight.
I think that's a really good fight for Islam. Islam's top control is different than Bilal. Like Islam.
Oh yeah,
Islam,
no, that 100%. I think he's the best guy on the ground, on the mat. Once it hits the mat, not nobody else has better ground control, submissions, just everything. On the ground, he's a real life nightmare. Strikes as well. He does damage. I would easily say Makhachev is the best ground fighter right now, you know, especially after what he did to Charles Oliveira. You know, what he's done to so many guys is crazy. It's just, is he going to be able to deal with the size?
But then he wonders, how is Islam Makhachev going to handle Jack Della Maddalena's size, athleticism, and strong takedown defense? He points out that even though Jack is tough to take down, Islam's technique and judo skills still give him an advantage. And Masvidal adds, an early takedown could let Islam control the fight and slowly wear Jack down over time.
In the defensive athleticism wrestling of Jack, because Jack could wrestle pretty damn good defensively, you know, and he showed out against Bilal. Bilal, I know, is not Islam with the technical savviness, especially up against the cage, because I feel like Islam has several degrees with his foot sweeps, his judo, a lot of the things that he does, like really, really slick, you know. So it could be early on in the fight. Islam could get you down and get you tired early, you know. He's very, very good at doing that. But that being said, I think Jack is a threat he's never faced before. I think Jack, and to be honest with you, Jack has some of the best hands right now in the UFC. Bar none. Like, I could see this guy throwing hands with anybody. He's not going to have a problem. The way he switches stance, it's like he's a Terrence Crawford, man.
And here's a big thought. Jorge Masvidal believes that if Jack Della Maddalena beats Islam Makhachev, he could actually shoot right to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings. He points out that Islam cuts a ton of weight to make lightweight, so moving up to welterweight might even benefit him. Masvidal considers Jack a truly unique talent, totally capable of challenging Islam, though he still slightly favors the champ to win.
I've seen Islam, bro. He's a big guy. He's sucking out a lot of weight to get to 55. I think he might start doing better at 70. Problem is, though, Jack is special. I've said this already. Jack is special. We're gonna see just how special he is if he beats Islam. Jack, #1 pound for, wow, that's impressive, you know. I don't know, it's a good fight, man. I think I'm leaning towards Islam, brother. Oh, really? You know, but I really think it's gonna be a tough fight for him, but a great fight, man.
Now Matt Brown has an interesting take. He believes Islam Makhachev is the greatest lightweight ever, no doubt. But he thinks Islam still needs to prove a lot more before we can compare him to those all-time greats. He feels like Islam's legacy at lightweight is already super solid. But reaching guys like Anderson Silva or John Jones, that's going to take years of consistent dominance. Brown also notes that just winning a second belt isn't enough to hit that legendary level. You need to keep defending and keep winning over a long period.
I think that's pretty much set in stone. I don't think there's a, you know, I think that's done, right? I don't know what this does for him in terms of, I don't know what, like, greatest of all time type thing, you know, or I mean, you know, pound for pound or anything, you know. I think because he's already up there with all of that. He's still got a long way to go to be kind of one of the all-time greats, right? When you're talking about the Anderson Silvas and the John Jones and people like that, he's got a long way to go for that. So you know, you just can't really put him there yet. And I don't think like the idea of being double champ accelerates that, right? You got to keep a winning streak going, and that's what, because you know that's what the other guys did.
He thinks a 4-fight win streak at welterweight would seriously strengthen Islam Makhachev's case as one of the greatest fighters ever. He believes Islam still needs more time and more big achievements to truly build that kind of legacy. He's saying becoming a double champion alone isn't quite enough. And he adds, a dominant run at welterweight would bring something completely new and super significant to Islam's whole career.
Islam does a 4-fight win streak at welterweight. I think that is a strong case.
He believes that's what it will take for Islam to really be considered one of the all-time greats.
To be the greatest, right? And because I agree, because we basically both just said the same thing, right? He needs more numbers, right? Just higher numbers. Just hasn't done it long enough yet. He's done it, and the fact that it's a double champ thing, that's not enough, I don't think, for much of anybody to be like, okay, you're the greatest of all time. You did it in 2 divisions. But if he goes on a 4-fight win streak at welterweight, to have because that would be something new, right?
What's interesting is Michael Chandler actually gives Jack Della Maddalena a slight edge over Islam Makhachev. He highlights JDM as this tough, straightforward fighter who uses his basics really well, lands effective strikes, and knows how to manage distance with his reach. Chandler acknowledges Islam's experience and strength, explaining that Makhachev has trained with bigger, stronger opponents his whole career, so size won't be a problem. The big question, he says, is whether Jack can handle Islam's constant wrestling pressure while still landing his own strikes.
How do you think Islam does next weekend?
JDM is a tough. He's not much of a puzzle, man. He's pretty basic, but he is brilliant and violent and devastating with the basics, man. A little bit of range, a little bit of reach on Islam, and I won't even sit there and say, because Islam's a different breed, man. I wouldn't sit there and say, oh, he's a 155er, so he's not used to going with 170 pounders. I would not be surprised if Islam, his entire career, has been sparring with 55, 70, 185, and 205ers, because the dude's kind of a nut. So I think I don't think strength or size is going to be the problem. It's really going to be the dichotomy between JDM's great striking abilities and is his takedown defense enough to stop the onslaught of wrestling that Islam's going to bring.
He even says that in a pure striking battle, JDM hits as hard, or even harder than Poirier. So he expects Islam to get tagged a few times in there. And he thinks Makhachev might turn to his wrestling sooner rather than later because of it. Overall, Chandler still gives Jack a slight edge in the fight.
I do think, even the stand-up battle against Poirier does hit hard, because I've witnessed that and felt it firsthand, but there's no way he hits as hard as JDM. So I think it'll be interesting, man. I think Islam's going to get tagged up a couple times, and we're going to see if he goes to that wrestling pretty quick. But I think JDM's a monster, man. I think I give JDM the slight favor, or the slight nod in that one. But I would not be surprised if Islam is holding the belt, and then now you got a whole nother conundrum where you got Ilya, him wanting the super fight and all that stuff. So we'll see what happens, man. Crazy sport.
All right, so that's all the talk about this incredible matchup. Now, what are your personal thoughts on how this fight goes down? Seriously, let us know your predictions in the comments. And hey, if you found this breakdown interesting, you know the drill. Give it a like, and maybe even subscribe for more.